While the title of this video makes it obvious what it's going to be about, there's a few things I want to go over first. First, while this is primarily going to be about Dawn, I'm starting with other reasons that the Diamond and Pearl season was awesome and why it doesn't deserve to be the most neglected season of the bunch. Second, I didn't start watching the sub version until Best Wishes, so all the names I'll use for people in Pokemon before then are from the English dub, while I'll be using the original Japanese names for Best Wishes stuff. But I probably won't mention any. Third, I haven't watched Advanced Generation in quite a while, and as such, most of my points in regards to it will be assumptions based on what I remember. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. In fact, if you want to refute any of the points I make, go for it. The only requirement is that you back up your claims with an episode number or two. It's easy enough for me to check pretty much any episode, but I'd rather not search for a needle in a haystack. And lastly, while I have pretty much the entire season of Diamond and Pearl on DVD, I don't exactly have them on me, so I couldn't exactly make a video for this, which is why it's going to just be rotating pictures, or art, I should say, with the occasional screen cap that I've managed to find online. Now that's out of the way, let's get down to business. Diamond and Pearl, also known as the season where all of the English openings started to suck, except for maybe Battlecry Stand Up, is probably the most ignored season of them all. The biggest reason is probably because viewership started to slip once Advanced Generation started. People are adverse to change, so swapping out Misty for May and not revealing at first that Brock was coming back caused a lot of people to not care about the show anymore. For those that were willing to stay, they probably drew the line when, almost halfway through Advanced Generation, nearly the entire English dub cast got replaced. This is a shame, because I honestly think that Diamond and Pearl is one of the best seasons that was made. Excluding the obvious fact that the writing in general gets better each season, and if you're one of those nostalgia only the first season was good people, go watch the 9th episode of the original, and I challenge you to figure out a thesis or moral or anything for the episode that shows it isn't just a bunch of random plot points thrown together randomly. Anyways, the point is, Diamond and Pearl had a much larger focus on plot compared to the other seasons. Team Galactic was running around doing evil deeds in preparation for their big plan later in the season, Pokemon Hunter Jay was flying around and capturing Pokemon for clients, and biggest of all, Paul and Ash had their huge rivalry. Ash and Paul's rivalry was probably the pinnacle of what Pokemon as a show can accomplish in regards to story and giving a moral. Paul was a giant asshole, but it never said his methods were wrong, just possibly reprehensible. It was made even more complicated when it became obvious that while Paul and Ash were opposites in a lot of ways, there was also quite a bit they shared in common, or there was a common thread between them. The very first time they fight, it ends in a draw. That's important because they're both just starting out again, so it shows that as far as raw skill goes, they're pretty equal. After that, you see how aggressive Paul is in regards to training his Pokemon, and you expect Ash to show him how his method is wrong. Nope! Except for the air ring battle thing, which doesn't really count because it's not even really a battle, Paul wins all of their fights. And by win, I mean he thrashes the living hell out of Ash and then walks away pompously. Usually after insulting him. It showed that while Paul's methods were screwed up, he did get results, and damn good ones at that. What perfected the rivalry was shown through Chimchar. Ash's methods aren't as aggressive, but they are more effective. It just takes longer. Ash finally beats Paul at the end of the Sinnoh League, showing that the path of the nice guy isn't actually the easy way out at all, but if you stick to it, the power of friendship and caring comes through and yada yada yada. Yes, it's the standard friendship is power moral, but goddamn was it done well. The payoff when Infernape is kicking ass in the fight against Paul? Amazing. But what I love most about Diamond and Pearl, as the title gives away, isn't any of the antagonists, but Dawn. Dawn is amazing, and easily the best traveling companion to date. Now I know about half the people that heard that just now started yelling at their screen that I'm an idiot because clearly Misty was the best choice. I'm sorry, but no. This is a case of nostalgia clouding your judgment. She was part of the original gang, so of course there's bias. She's also in nearly twice the amount of episodes compared to the others, with the exception of Brock, but we're talking female companions here. Anyways, her mood swings into anger got annoying, and she took a backseated role in the show after a while. It makes sense, the show is mainly about Ash, but this was more than that. She did hardly anything in the show except for when the staff occasionally decided to dedicate episodes to her. At least Brock was used as a plot device to feed everyone and take care of the Pokemon. May was better, though I'm not really one for airheads. Then again, maybe airheads isn't the correct word. What am I looking for? Diva? I'm not sure what the word is, but there's that one episode where they go through the town that are obsessed with May's and Max's father, Norman, the gym leader, and they get a bunch of attention, and May just loves the crap out of it, and she makes some pretty bad decisions just because she's getting a lot of attention and love from it. I'm pretty sure it's Diva, but I could be wrong. Anyways, that's what I mean. But yeah, she did kind of get over it, though it took over half the damn season. Anyways, she primarily worked better than Misty because she had a student-teacher relationship with Ash. He taught her what he could, and she learned usually. However, the problem that arises with this kind of relationship is that it makes May seem like less of her own person. She's not so much May as she is Ash's pupil. The writers also kind of shot themselves in the foot by bringing in Max. May hardly got any moments truly dedicated to her because Max commented or reacted to nearly everything she did. Again, it took away from her identity as an individual, because you saw them grouped together more like one being kind of thing, more one group, Max and May, rather than them individually. Dawn had almost none of these problems, and just like how the rival story with Paul is the best plot structure Pokemon will probably ever manage to do, Dawn is the best companion that the show could ever do. Her personality is really similar to Ash's, and she even has some of the same experiences. She starts off being overconfident in her own abilities, which caused a nostalgic scene where Dawn failed to do her first capture and immediately blamed Ashe for distracting her rather than taking any blame herself. Do you guys remember Ashe trying to catch the Weedle and being distracted by the bug catcher? One of the biggest complaints against Dawn is that she's a whiner, which is absolutely true at first. It's done on purpose. Unlike May, who took over half a season to get over being her diva thing, Dawn gets over her misplaced confidence in less than a fourth of the way through Diamond and Pearl. Dawn has two extremely memorable, dramatic scenes in this show, and it's the first one that makes her drop the confidence. In her first contest, Dawn made it to the final round, and she won her second contest. But then in her next two contests after that, she lost in the very first round. This was a huge blow to her, and she entered her depression arc. I'm not sure if I should really call it an arc, it was just a couple episodes. Anyways, she hid this depression from the others and even tried to deny it herself. This was a huge deal. It'd make anyone think they'd never cut it as a top coordinator, and Dawn unconsciously felt like her dream was over. There was even the dramatic scene where she started breaking down crying the episode after when she saw Ashe training. After she talked about it with Maylene, she got her confidence back. Not her overconfidence, but her will and belief that she could achieve her dream. Though she never lost an appeal round after this, whenever she did lose any of the other rounds, she was able to take it in stride, and it just strengthened her will to do even better next time. Again, reminiscent of Ashe. Oh, and for the sake of not leaving any loose ends, the other dramatic event I mentioned is the lily pad contest, where Mamoswine endlessly charges Carnivine while Dawn helplessly tries to calm it down, getting increasingly desperate. But you know, if there's any one reason that Dawn is the best companion, it's because of one simple thing. There's an actual sense of camaraderie between Dawn and Ashe. The one complaint that I used for both Misty and May was that they both at some point faded into the background, leaving Ashe to be the true main character. This doesn't happen with Dawn. If anything, she starts off being extra baggage for Ashe since she doesn't know how to do much of anything, but she and Ashe quickly become good friends. For example, Ashe didn't always watch May's contests, usually because he was training. It made it seem like May was just doing her own thing, while what we should really have been prepared for was whatever Ashe was training to do. Again, this doesn't happen with Dawn. Ashe watches all of her contests, and even participated in the very first one with her, which was also his first official contest. Further preventing Dawn from falling to the sidelines is the fact that she and Ashe learn from each other. Ashe lifts a ton of her contest moves and ideas to use in his gym battles, which tend to pay off handsomely. The very first one was the spin dodge while jumping, but he later made use of Ice Aqua Jet, Counter Shield, and various other techniques. Things Dawn learned from Ashe aren't quite as glaring, but it's obvious she became a better battler from watching him, and there are a few contest moves she created that were inspired from something she saw in his battles. I also mentioned before that Dawn had similar personality to Ashe due to having similar experiences. Explaining each one's way too much time, so I'm just going to quickly list them. 1. Similar to Ashe's Pikachu, Dawn's Piplup decided that it didn't want to evolve. Though considering the events that transpired in the episode, Ashe's Bulbasaur may be the better comparison. 2. Pikachu didn't like Ashe at first, but bonded with him by saving him from a bunch of wild Pokemon. Spearow. Dawn's Piplup did the same thing. Ariados. 3. Starting about a fourth into the season, Piplup started staying outside of its Pokeball, just like Pikachu does. 4. Dawn's struggle to get Mamoswine to obey her was remarkably similar to when Ashe was trying to get Charizard to obey him, though it took Dawn a lot less airtime. There's other smaller comparisons you could make too, but these are the most obvious. Now at this point, I can already imagine someone saying, "But wait, Ryoga, you say the biggest reason Dawn is a great character is because of her and another character's relationship? How does that even work?" This is actually a really easy one to address. Contrary to popular belief, the relationship between two characters isn't really one thing. It's two. Just like in real life, it takes an effort based on both characters to make a relationship work. Think of it less as one relationship between two people and more like two perspectives each for two characters, or something like that. I suppose a follow-up question about that would be why Ashe and Dawn's relationship is really that different for me compared to, say, Ashe and May's teacher-student one. I already addressed how it makes May seem like less of an individual, and how Dawn and Ashe learn from each other and such, but there's a bit more to it than that. For both Misty and May, maybe not so much during the journey, but when leaving or meeting back up randomly, it shows the relationship with Ashe as being really formal. It's a lot of, "Oh, good to see you again," and possibly shaking hands and such. His relationship with Dawn is a lot more informal, and honestly, I love that. When she shows up again in the second season of Best Wishes, does she run up to Ashe and talk about how great it is to see him? No, she sneaks up behind him and plays a prank. It's stuff like this that makes me love Dawn. One of my favorite scenes in Diamond and Pearl is in the last episode, where she conspires with Piplup and Pikachu to wake Ash up since he slept in. But anyways, Dawn made Diamond and Pearl amazing. She had a closer, and honestly better, relationship with Ash compared to the other girls, and it paid off handsomely. You can't even argue that they weren't an awesome team. No, seriously, you really can't. They were intentionally written to be an awesome team. Think about it. All the Diamond and Pearl movie teaser posters with Ash and Dawn with Brock missing or way in the background. The second non-remixed opening, hhhh, which was basically an opening dedicated to talking about Ash and Dawn's relationship and thoughts about each other. All the similarities I mentioned earlier. All of these were done intentionally, and for a reason. Hell, even Dawn's character song, which is basically supposed to be your theme song, is about how she and Ash are bros except for the fact that she's female. You don't get much closer than that. Not enough reasons for you to agree with me about Dawn being the best companion? Well, I have one more. I already mentioned their similar experiences and how Ash and Dawn learned various things from each other, but there's a more direct reason they're just fun to watch together. Dawn can match Ash's enthusiasm and excitement. They both get riled up and excited in the same way, which is really obvious whenever you see them battle together anytime after about a fourth into the season. It's probably also the reason why Dawn didn't fall to the sidelines unlike the other female companions. Ash and Dawn act very similarly, and while this alone wouldn't automatically make Dawn a great character or their relationship interesting, the type of personality they both have bounces really well off of itself. It's kind of a strange thing to say, but haven't you ever found yourself getting really enthusiastic when you're around other really enthusiastic people? It's contagious and fun. And that's why Dawn was the best thing to happen to Pokemon. Also why Diamond and Pearl was the best season, but that point's less important.